Dr. Rebecca Robbins. I'm an assistant professor of medicine at the Harvard Medical School and a sleep scientist at the Brigham and Women's Hospital. And in my research, I look at the critical link between our sleep and so many aspects of our waking lives. What I'm particularly excited about is behavioral interventions that empower individuals with the information they need to be able to realize a good night's sleep and, in certain cases, identify symptoms for sleep disorders.
I'm Melissa Eppel. I'm a professor in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Medicine at University of California, San Francisco. I've been studying how stress can actually help us in performance and even health when it's short-term positive stress, but mostly how stress gets under the skin to create wear and tear and dysregulation and accelerate the speed of how our cells age.
I'm Dr. Jake Deutsch. I am a physician in clinical practice in New York City, and I work with clients helping to optimize their life in what we call longevity precision medicine practice. So I'm trying to put into place all of these elements that you're studying with patients and helping them live better, live longer.
So in terms of problems in our future, we clearly are unraveling the science of aging, and the deeper we go in understanding causal drivers, the more we can reverse.
What I'm excited about with wearable technology is how in the future we might be able to look to devices that are increasingly small, increasingly cost-effective, and increasingly useful. So it's not only measuring, but then delivering insights. And what's so exciting is the potential for personalization, understanding exactly the information, exactly the way it should be framed, and at the exact right time.
The future of wearables and biosensors is really turning on the light bulb to how our own daily behaviors, moods, and sleep are shaping our nervous system. We can really understand our patterns, and not just on a daily basis, but even stepping back, we get to look at what is our pattern over the month or the year.
My explanation is always, well, we're training your nervous system. Mm-hmm. And that sort of gets people to kind of tune into what we're talking about, because we've never really kind of thought about that as a concept. It ties into stress, of course, and sleep is a big factor. But once they understand, all right, this is something that I'm doing to improve my nervous system function, then there's a reason, and now these type of behaviors are really powerful.
So awareness of our behavior is step one. And then the feedback that we get from changing our behavior is what we need, that self-monitoring, that information on an ongoing basis. This is one of the most powerful tools we have for behavior change. The number one predictor of whether we're going to make a change, whether we're going to meet a goal in a day, is simply how confident we are. So looking at daily data allows us to make these small goals, these small changes, these nudges.
One of the key elements is having tools that allow us to do that, and the Oura Ring is one of the key elements. And so we can now look at that data and we can make changes based upon that. And when they come to me and say, I'm a little bit frustrated, now we have something that we can tie to behavior and make some really actionable differences.
So what is a good night's sleep?
A good night's sleep is multifactorial. I think often we talk about enough sleep. Duration. 7 to 9 hours is the range that we recommend for the vast majority of adults to support daytime function. But duration isn't everything. Of course, lying around in bed for 7 to 8 hours without waking up and feeling restored. And that's really what we're all after. It's the sleep that supports waking success. There are two systems or two kind of processes that result in our ability to sleep. That's a feeling of sleepiness. We call that the homeostatic drive for sleep. But that's not all. If you've hopped in a plane and flown to a new time zone, you can attest to the fact that it's not just sleepiness. That operates in tandem with something called the circadian rhythm. That internal circuitry plays an incredibly important role in our ability to sleep because of the hormone melatonin. That hormone is secreted by the brain as we enter a cool, dark environment, and ideally when the sun's setting in our natural environment. And then melatonin stops when we wake up at our habitual wake time. And so keeping consistent bedtime, keeping consistent timing of our nutrition intake, our exercise, all can kind of feed into that system as well. And from the standpoint of sleep disorders, there are many millions of Americans that have undiagnosed sleep disorders, and these are fundamentally interrupting the fabric of their sleep night in and night out. But as a sleep scientist, we've been, of course, measuring sleep for decades. It's just so exciting to think of increasingly small and precise methods of measurement.
And when you can start to look at not only the duration of sleep, the amount of sleep, but also like what your temperature is while you were sleeping, and the fact that you could kind of have a sleep study on your finger and do it at home, and in 4 days we can get data that's convenient. That's a game changer as far as I'm concerned. We need to educate people that sleep affects not just how you feel. It's affecting our weight, it's affecting our hormones, it's affecting our aging process.
Yeah, I like to think of stress, sleep, and aging as best friends, these interrelated factors that, unfold throughout the day. And our goal is to have balance between them. And so when we can have good stress and recover quickly and have good sleep at night, we are on a slower aging path. Understanding stress is also about understanding how the day unfolds, because we live within the unit of a day. And we naturally have stressful events embedded, and we have these stress responses. It's like exercising our nervous system. It's healthy as long as we have a chance to recover. And so being able to look inside the body and see its stress level is a really critical and important tool. So these daily biosensors are going to change how much we're aware of stress, both individually and as a society, and then allows us to manage stress on a daily basis.
And there's an interesting kind of duality between stress and sleep that are such kind of day-to-day behaviors. And our research shows that when we look at populations that are suffering from poor sleep, not getting enough, or sleep difficulties, fragmented sleep, they face a twofold increased risk of dementia in the longer term. So many people just are in go mode, responding to emails, consuming content, and they don't take time over the course of the day to feed into their circadian rhythm, which is in a little bit of a slump in the afternoon, for instance. It's a great time to do a brief meditation or take a power nap, a short nap, and that will help your sleep that night.
I couldn't agree more. I think we are culturally in a matrix of rushing, and it's hard to be slowing down when we're addicted to using time as a commodity. I think about stress a lot, but it really has been fun and fascinating to actually use the Oura Ring to see my minutes of daily stress, and equally important, daily restoration.
It's not easy to see it improve, but this is really where the magic happens, that you're able to kind of have detailed day-to-day information by looking at the stress feature.
It's a revolution to be able to say, my body was stressed for X minutes today. And equally important to notice my body was in rest mode or restorative mode X minutes. And both of those metrics matter so much, and they matter together. We're going to go through stressful events. We're going to have terrible Oura scores and sleep scores and readiness. But can we just be gentle with ourselves and know that we have a chance to recover? Every day is a fresh slate. Really, it's the whole package. Can we create a healthy day that leads to a good night's sleep? And that, in turn, predicts less heart disease. And I want to just point out how stress plays into this, because when we are feeling too much stress during the day, all of the things that lead to good sleep and good cardiovascular health fall apart. Heart rate variability is one of the best measures that we have now at our fingertips with biosensing. And heart rate variability is really high, and which we want when we're young, and it tends to decrease with age and with obesity and with stress. So just simply taking 6 breaths per minute, that's slowing down almost by half for most people, can increase our heart rate variability within minutes. That is one of the most powerful tools at our fingertips. I've had so much fun measuring my own HRV during meditation retreats. Your ring can measure moment-to-moment changes in HRV and temperature.
I think the idea is that we have the power to make change in our health. And that can be a simple exercise, or that could be something complex. And now we have tools that are making those, accessible to everybody. And for me, the data is really what's gotten people to change this process. Looking at things differently because we now have data is a very, very different approach to our life, our wellness, than we saw 20 years ago. So I think that that's really exciting to look forward towards.